You're listening to Grindhouse Courthouse. We put movies on trial to determine whether or not a film has committed too many movie misdemeanors to be considered viewable. Please rise for the honorable judge this episode. Nailed it. Beautiful. Love it. Here we go. Hello and welcome to the last Mission Impossible episode we will ever do. Mission Impossible 3. To my virtual left is the defense, consisting of a lead defenseman and an assistant public defender, Adam and Dave. By the end of the episode, you will know who is the lead and who is the assistant. To my virtual right is the prosecution, Dylan and Matt. Two beautiful, attractive, well-intentioned, honest, hardworking, sexy, magnanimous people doing important work here today. Mission Impossible 3 was directed in 2006 by noted amateur storyteller J.J. Abrams. This sequel was made a full 6 years after the Mission Impossible 2 debacle and sees Tom Cruise return as Ethan Hunt. I can only assume that his character is radically different in this incarnation, since Mission Impossible 1 Ethan Hunt was a CIA brand spy and Mission Impossible 2 Ethan Hunt was some kind of rock-climbing super assassin, but I'm sure this will be covered later on. Mission Impossible 3 was produced on a budget of $150 million and had a box office return of $400 million, which is the technical hallmark of any successful, enjoyable, well-crafted film that doesn't have to rely on cheap tricks to tell its story. The court will now hear the defense's opening statement.
Can I object to that whole statement?
You can do whatever you want, but it's on the record.
All right. That was great. Thank you. I have to get into the mindset now too.
Yeah, I know. You gotta psych yourself up. You can't just.
Jesus.
Just walk in
Your
here.
Honor, is there any chance they're both assistant defenders?
Yeah.
That is the appearance right now, but I do believe that one will emerge as the dominant defense person.
Yeah. We're just two interns that showed up.
Surprisingly, it'll be me somehow.
Yeah, I hope you take the lead. Okay, I'm focused. Judge, much like a proud parent watching their child walk across the stage of graduation, Dave and I stand before you, overjoyed and teary-eyed for Mission Impossible 3. As we watched over the years, we saw Mission Impossible 1 come into this world and set the standard for what a spy movie should be. Sophisticated, story-driven, and full of action. We then watched the teen angst years of Mission Impossible 2, where loud music, fast cars, explosions, and womanizing was the driving factor behind the series. But at last, we are here. We see Mission Impossible 3 stand on its own, mature, confident, and a technical masterpiece, ready to take on the world, and we could not be prouder. Thank you.
Beautiful.
One single tear has rolled down my face.
The court will not recognize the tear nor the beauty of the statements. The court will now hear the prosecution's opening statement.
You'll have to recognize the flood of tears from the defense after they get crushed by our prosecution in this one. This movie, oh God, here we go again. This movie thinks so little of its audience. It's essentially identical to all the other crappy, stupid Mission Impossible movies, but just like 30% even lazier. Tom Cruise continues to be this bizarre, dead-eyed, humanoid cyborg of a creature acting like a human being. At least they cut his hair in this one, if that counts for anything. But this thing is just more of the same absurd, vacuous spy nonsense. Once again, we've got rogue, double-crossing agents who would never have double-crossed you if you hadn't trained them to do all this stuff in the first place. We've got dumb mask stuff, because we guess we have to have that in every one of these Mission Impossible movies. We've got Tom Cruise hanging by cables. Again, remember that scene from the first one that everyone liked? Well, we're doing it again. Every second scene of this stupid thing, we're violating the laws of physics. And it's just tired and monotonous, and I can't handle it anymore. Fuck this movie.
Powerful words.
I couldn't put it better myself.
Truly powerful.
I feel like he's more mad at Tom Cruise than the movie. I feel your anger is driven towards him specifically.
What's the difference? Where does Mission Impossible end and Tom Cruise begin? It's the same thing. It's the same thing with a motorbike.
That's very true. They are one together. They are locked.
Yeah.
These are Tom Cruise.
The real question is, where does Tom Cruise end and Lord Zito begin? But we'll have to figure out that later.
We need to talk about volcanoes and souls right now for the next 40 minutes. Now, on that note, it would please the court to have the defense present their first scene.
All right, I'll take it over. So the first scene is...
Well, that's the prosecution, but I mean, that's fine.
Your Honor,
the judge position is really more of a formality. Okay, I will allow you to take it over. There, much better. Okay, please
and
proceed.
as the litigant in control, I pass it to the defense to introduce the first scene.
What was
Excellent,
that?
thank you. I will allow it.
I really
Defense-
want to see
Power
where he's
move.
going to go with this, though.
Power move.
Power move. Yeah, I'm shaking. I'm shaking right now. We'll take this responsibility. We'll open up. We'll talk about the first scene. Won't we, Dave?
Any moment now.
Okay, so right off the bat with Mission Impossible 3, you are thrown into the unknown. We are put into a scenario where Tom Cruise's character, Ethan Hunt, is tied up in a chair, and we have a villain standing across from him with a gun to a woman's head. We don't know what's going on. We don't know the context, but the scene looks beautiful. We got high saturation. We've got lens flares. We got the J.J. Abrams style all over this scene. Now, as the scene progresses, we find out that Ethan Hunt was supposed to deliver something to this villain, and this villain hasn't received it yet, and he's about to shoot his fiance/wife and starts the countdown. Within this countdown, we see Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise's character, go through a range of emotions. We get, we get confusion, shock, denial, pain, guilt, anger, and bargaining, all within the first 10 minutes. This is just clearly showing how great of an actor Tom Cruise is. He has such an amazing range that it just opens this movie and wants you wanting more, basically. You have so many questions coming at you. You don't know what the setup is. You don't know what's going on. And again, you're seeing Ethan Hunt in a completely new area, new context that we've never seen him in before with these previous Mission Impossible. So right off the bat, you're hooked.
Is that really the start of the movie, though?
Yeah.
Because I would argue that the real...
Because we already know Mission Impossible. We know what's what's coming. But this just throws you right back into it so quick. There's no waiting around. Gets you right into the movie. And that's what you need.
The real start of this movie, I would argue, is...
I'm gonna hurt her. I'm gonna hurt her really bad.
What? I can't hear you from way over there.
I'm gonna hurt her. I'm gonna hurt her really bad.
Is that really the start of this movie, though? Because I would argue that the real start of this is smarmy, weird Tom Cruise hosting a dinner party with some floozy we've never seen before. That's the real start of this movie.
Okay, yeah.
The scene, no, it's not the recap. The first scene that you're talking about with Philip Seymour Hoffman is like this tense standoff with Tom Cruise and Hoffman and this other girl.
Yep.
But it's essentially just a scene that we're going to get to 90 minutes later in the movie.
Yep.
It's like an advertisement for the movie that I'm already watching that's telling me, please don't walk out of the theater. Don't turn this off. I swear this is going to get good eventually. And it's only
It's just throwing the bait out for you. Say, hey, how do you get to this position? How do we get here?
Yeah,
I want to know.
Is there a freeze frame of Tom Cruise's face? And then there's like a record scratch down, and he says, "How did I end up in this situation?" And then you have to watch the rest of the movie to find out. Is that what happens?
Stay tuned.
That happened. In the film? I wish that would have happened. That would have made it. Oh, that would have been beautiful.
Ron Howard does commentary the entire film as
I knew it,
as Ethan Hunt's voice in his head. By the way, we should point out the real start of the movie is the little party. But right away, we should start getting warning signs. So first off, he's gotten rid of the other girl that was like the love of his life in the last one.
Yeah.
He uses women, first thing first.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he's like probably about 40 at this point. He has, not a word of a lie, like 50 friends over at his stupid little house party, which is way too many friends for a 40-year-old man to have. Like, it's already unnatural. Like, why do you have all these friends? You should have like 3 friends, one from childhood, one from college, and like one dude who you like drink beer with or something like that.
But don't know his name.
Normal. Yeah.
All I'm getting right now is jealousy from Dylan. He's just jealous of how successful Tom Cruise is with his friends.
I do have to admit,
sweet house party.
Yeah, I do have to admit that this is the most unrealistic part of the movie, of a 40-year-old person having this many friends. But we understand that it is due to them finally getting engaged. So this is an engagement party. It's her family, her friends, coworkers, etc. But yes, we're dropped into a different scenario that we haven't seen Ethan Hunt in. He's at a house party. He's in the suburbs. He's around common folk. We've never seen him in this scenario before. It's always top-notch action, climbing mountains, doing somersault kicks, whatever it may be. But now we're seeing him as just a regular Joe with a regular haircut. So we're introduced to new questions, or more questions right off the bat. It's pulling the audience in, trying to understand what is going on to Ethan Hunt's character. Because, yeah, probably 6 years has passed between Mission Impossible 2, long hair Ethan Hunt, always doing extreme stunts, to now doing a desk job, or pretending to do a desk job. And he's not a field officer anymore. He's training IMF agents. So yeah, again, I think this is just exposing his character. You're seeing a different element that you wouldn't have seen in the previous movies, and they're diving into it. And yeah, I think they did an amazing job with it.
Like, would you say he's being filled out as a full character then?
Yeah, you're getting a proper character arc over these 3 movies. You're expanding him. You're seeing the ins and outs, what drives him, what moves him.
Revealing him as
an arc implies like a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's like 8 movies after this one. So
we're not.
Is it like,
this is it.
And
Mission
he's the same
Impossible
in
3
each
is
of
the
them.
end point.
They didn't make any more.
he
after
grows
this
his hair out again in the next one.
We're not talking about the next one. We're only talking about Mission Impossible 3 and the 2 before it. That's our world of Mission Impossible.
Did they bring
right
the
now.
motorbike back in 6 or 7?
Your Honor, I demand that the prosecution recognizes the existence of Mission Impossible 9.
The court will wait for an answer.
And then it needs to be stricken from the record.
we
The
can't.
court will not strike this from the record.
Judge,
Your Honor, can
these
we
were the-
please waterboard the defense to get the truth that we need?
We are this close to waterboarding the defense.
Judge, we set clear rules before we started recording, before we started doing the series, that we would only acknowledge the movies that we're up to. So we can only acknowledge MI 1, 2, and 3.
They have nothing against this scene. They have nothing. That's why they're reaching outside.
Yeah,
They're reaching
okay,
for
yeah.
straws. They have nothing right now. Like, oh
Hold
no,
on.
Ethan's a full character. I don't know what to do. I better shit on his later movies because I can't shit on this one. It's
He's
too
a-
good.
Yeah,
What
point us.
about this weird sociopath delivering anecdotes that he's clearly practiced in front of a mirror like 50 times before at his house party?
He's
Like,
an
Isabel
actor.
fleshing out his-
Also, who doesn't do that? Who didn't go over their notes today going like, I gotta nail this opening or else they're gonna kick me off the team.
This is
Yeah,
a
but he does that to talk to people at a party.
You know,
Hi, how's it going? It was Lake Winnetonka.
maybe Ethan Hunt has crippling social anxiety and he just can't be around people, so he needs to practice those. He needs to get some lines down, written out, and go over them so he feels comfortable when he's in this scenario.
You know
And
what's
that's
really funny about this?
Everyone do their best Ethan Hunt at a party take. Okay, ready, set. Hi, I'm Ethan Hunt. Okay, Adam, your turn.
Try the same line.
Yeah, you're at a party.
Ha! I'm Ethan Hunt. Ha!
Oh, that's pretty human.
Yeah.
That's pretty natural.
What the hell?
That's also my Tom Cruise impression because he always laughs after he says something.
Yeah, but this is Ethan Hunt. It's not Tom Cruise.
Okay.
Minus 1 point to the defense. So far we've had 2 starts to the movie. We've had the movie at the end, and then we've had a house party. What comes after that?
Wait, before we get there, I have a question because we've already introduced the
You get no
fiancé
questions.
here. I have
Only
a question
statements.
for you, Love Dr. Dave.
What?
Take us to take us to the tunnel of love. Tunnel of love. And tell us
What is love?
Tunnel, love, tunnel, love, tunnel.
what happened to the girl from the last movie. She's conspicuously absent from this thing, and she's replaced with some other woman we've never seen before.
That was just
And
a
they're
hot
diff-
flick. That was just a hot dip in the summer heat.
They risked
That's all that
Tell
was.
us more about these hot dips in summer heat.
Hot dip in the summer heat.
hot dip.
I think that's an expression.
Tell us more about the hot
She was-
dips.
That was just a fling.
Tell us,
That's all that
Dave,
was.
tell us how you dip women. Tell us how you dip them.
Upside down and backward.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
You heard it. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Love Doctor. Upside down.
So, Love Doctor, it's okay to use women and then throw them aside, right? Like women, they will come and they will go.
She uses him just as much. Don't jump ahead there.
Do we have evidence that he ever cured her of that fatal disease that she was injected with?
Oh, yeah.
Or did he just,
No, yeah. Ving
He
Rhames
gave her an extra 6 weeks.
Ving Rhames gave her the shot, and then the next scene is them meeting in a park and like kissing next to the Sydney Opera House. So she's
could
fine.
she have been reinfected at that point?
I don't know. We don't know how Chimera works. So maybe, possibly, maybe it's a tragic loss. Maybe that's what's happening here. We have Ethan Hunt moving on from his dead partner. You want to bring up that trauma? Thanks a lot, guys. We're seeing a grown man move on with his life and take the next step. That's what I want to see at a movie. I don't want to see the same hits over and over again. I want to see a character develop. And that's what we get. And now, after the house party scene, we get, what's his name? Billy Crudup?
Sure.
What's his name? Yeah, Billy.
Yeah.
You made that word up.
That's his
The
name.
court will recognize that defense has said that they do not want to see the same things in a movie over and over again.
On the record.
Which is like, we gotta make sure that
Wow.
that point is established.
Yeah, I
Okay,
may have
please.
shot
I
myself in the
was
foot
gonna-
with that one, but
I'm going to nail their balls to a board for that one because the next setup is, oh my God, I think an IMF agent has been captured and betrayed. Who is the possible culprit? And guess who it is? It's another IMF agent.
we'll work around this. But we have...
She wasn't betrayed by an IMF agent, though. She was put undercover in that organization, wasn't she? That had nothing to do with backstabbing.
The takeaway that I'm getting from here is that it's so unimportant, you don't remember the real details.
No,
one
it's been
is
like
sure.
it's been like 4 months since I watched this movie, so I can't remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
we took way too long of a break.
I will step aside.
But I'm pretty sure she wasn't betrayed. She was put in undercover in the organization.
I will step aside from my judgely roles very briefly to establish that, yes, she was placed there as a mole to recover information. She was not a traitor.
Yes, but she
Right.
learned
No,
too much.
she wasn't the traitor. She was betrayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was betrayed
yes.
by an IMF.
Yeah, that's what Dylan's
Billy
getting
Crudup
at.
is the mole.
It is Billy
But he
Crudup.
Okay,
That's
so-
his name.
involved
Why-
in that
Sorry,
part.
spoilers. Billy Crudup is the mole. I think we jumped ahead just a little bit, but
Yeah.
We're gonna get
Can't
there.
believe we spoiled this movie from 15 years ago. That has
that people
7
care
more
about.
entries into the
That
series.
people beside us have gone back to actually watch in the last 10 years. So,
So beyond that, it's a pretty awesome scene where Vic controls a bunch of sentries, shoots a bunch of people. They do some action scenes. Brings you right back into the
Where
action.
are we in the story?
Yeah, where are we going?
When he goes, when he's in the,
Where
when
are
he's
you at?
rescuing her. When he's rescuing her.
Yeah, so this is
Okay.
the agent is played by Carrie Russell, Felicity,
Yeah.
and she gets found out or I don't know, betrayed by some other rogue agent or whatever. She's captured, and then presumably by Philip Seymour Hoffman's gang or whatever it is.
His
and
goons.
they take his goons, and they take her to an abandoned warehouse, which is like, come on, real original guys, really. And
Actually, this is the first time we get this type of scenario in Mission Impossible, so it is brand new. None of the ones are like this.
we've never seen somebody being holed up in an
Not in
abandoned
Mission
warehouse in
Impossible.
anything before.
Not in Mission Impossible, so yeah, fresh.
I mean,
Breaking new
the
ground.
bar for Mission Impossible to do something new
Hey,
is so
I'm just
low
spitting the
that-
facts here, Matt.
But
The
go on.
court
It's
will
brand new for
recognize
Mission
that
Impossible.
Dave is a Mission Impossible completionist, wants those warehouse scenes, wants them, needs them.
But
okay.
I would like Matt to continue on because this scene is actually very well done. So continue on with explaining it and setting it up.
Okay, so this,
I will allow you to continue on and set it up.
Thanks,
Thank
Judge.
you.
Thanks, Judge.
thank you, Your Honor. So essentially, Tom Cruise assembles a crack team of espionage spy individuals, and with Ving Rhames. What is Ving Rhames' character's name? It doesn't matter. Luther
Rhames.
I think they call him Specs.
Luther Vandross.
Oh.
Mr. Vandross?
So anyway, they get in there, and then Tom Cruise is doing his spy stuff, and they're shooting it up, and he gets to Carrie Russell, and she's been tortured. She's sitting in a chair. She can barely move. And then he injects her with some adrenaline, which is like movie lingo for, hey, you don't have to act like you're hurt for the rest of this scene anymore. So here, take this. And then they escape. and they're escaping in a helicopter. There's a bunch of explosions. They're in a wind farm for some reason. There's a helicopter chasing them, and God, what
Are there lens flares?
Oh, so many. That's like from the top of this episode, the defense said lens flares is his first line of defense for why this movie is
That
great.
wasn't a defense. I was saying that's J.J. Abrams' style, and it plays out through this, but he does it in a way that it adds to the movie. It has a unique style. This movie stands out based on J.J. Abrams' style. Like, again, he has higher saturation. His blues and oranges pop out a lot more. Colors are a lot brighter. So it's very different in comparison.
Everything's named Kelvin.
It's very different than what we've seen in the previous movies. But what I would like to say, and I would like to perform a rebuttal to Matt's statement, is that he's underplaying all the action in this scenario. We have not just them going in guns blazing like they previously would have done with Mission Impossible 1 and 2. No, we have a team coming together. We get to see the setup of how...
Hold on. Okay. Guns blazing in Mission Impossible 1? When did they go in guns blazing?
Maybe not Mission Impossible 1, but Mission Impossible 2.
The court will recognize that guns blazing was the only mode in Mission Impossible 2.
Good.
They start the mission by sneaking
Guns
in,
blazing and doves flying. That's how we fucking roll, boys.
But this time we see more of a tactical approach, right? This movie is more grounded and realistic, and I'm putting realistic in quotations just because there is some stretch with this. But it looks like they're approaching this mission, this attraction of getting Kerry Russell in a proper manner rather than just winging it. So you have Luther setting up the sentry guns, and he's blowing out the bottom floor, so it's attracting all the villains, goons, all down there, while Tom Cruise actually goes in to extract Kerry Russell. Yes, he gives her adrenaline. Yes, it gets her going. I'm completely fine with this. But it also shows how they approach a scene where Tom Cruise goes in with an assault rifle and he's actually aiming. He's not just firing at everything. Them escaping is pretty well done too, because this will lead up into another scene. But I like to think when Tom Cruise and Kerry Russell, they're leaving the third floor, whatever floor it is, getting onto the truck to evacuate out of there. I like to think that Tom Cruise is still doing those calculations in his head where he's just like, okay, how far is it? Can I make this? What speed gets down before the whole building explodes and they're out of there? So again, we're seeing a more calculated, sophisticated team this time around. And I appreciate that a lot more this go. Like I'm happy that they're paying attention to the details and they're trying to make it more grounded.
Yeah, so anyway, her brain explodes from a fucking implant that's been shoved up her nose.
Gnarly. The court will recognize that that's fucking gnarly.
It was.
It got really
Put a little bomb in the nose.
just an old bomb up the nose into the frontal cortex there, and I mean that was well done. Her eyes went all messed up and shit. It looked really totally gnarly, man.
But it's also a high tension scene, right? So not just in the sense that they're trying to escape, they're fleeing from this helicopter, they're going through the wind farm, and there's blades swinging around, but it's high tension in the sense that we later find out that was a trainee. That was the first trainee of Tom Cruise's character that actually got permission to go out into the field, and this is her first mission, and he's now witnessed the death of her. So we get more of an impact from this scene. So her, yes, brain exploding, eye twitching, hits home a bit harder than what it would have done in previous Mission Impossible movies.
Slight rephrase, fucking gnarly. Dude.
Yeah, in previous in previous movies he would have felt nothing if someone's brain exploded in front of him. But this one he built a relationship with her, so it hurt extra bad. Anyway, I think the wind farm had something to do with her brain exploding. You know, they've done studies on the effects of low pressure.
That's very presidential. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how. I just know Kerry Russell's brain exploded, and I got the best people looking into it.
The green energy.
Everyone is saying that windmills killed Kerry Russell. Everyone is saying it.
Okay. What else happens in this scene? Anything else?
Honestly, I think that summarized the first 30 minutes to 40 minutes of this movie.
And it was full of action and full of heartbreak. It was
you see IMF though, if you want to talk about that.
Yes, actually, yeah. Thank you, Judge. Thank you for bringing that up. I was actually gonna.
Okay, well let me do a proper introduction. Adam, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I would, however, like to hear a little bit about IMF. Does that show up at all? The actual organization behind all these catastrophes that they themselves are creating?
Thank you, Judge.
Adam, open your mouth and tell me about it.
Thank you, Judge.
So one half of IMF is actively trying to disable and counter terrorism, and the other half of IMF is figuring out how to become terrorists and attack the other half. It's a perpetual motion machine. It will never cease. It will continue long after the United States has ceased to exist.
Yeah,
that's what's going on in
it's
IMF.
one dude.
It's until the next movie when it's another dude takes his place, and it's another dude, and it's another one.
No, actually, I think the next movies are straight up like terrorist organization.
You can't acknowledge. No, you can't acknowledge the future.
Oh yeah,
movies.
sorry,
Guys,
those
there's
don't
rules.
exist, Matt.
Okay,
what the fuck?
Okay, my mistake. The other movies. So 100% of the Mission Impossible movies we've seen so far have this plot device in.
Not in our strength yet.
Yes, that seems accurate. Yeah.
But
yeah.
so with Mission Impossible 3, we finally get introduced to what IMF is. And from the previous movies, it seems just like a small organization. It's only grounded, or like the optics is their team and their lead. But now we actually get to see it as a full-on institute where they're teaming up with the CIA, or they're teaming up with the FBI, or they're liaisoning back and forth with them. You also get to see that they have like huge research departments. So this explains where all their tech is coming from, how they're intercepting all these missions or evil people around the world. So you get to see a larger organization take effect, and you see that it's a lot larger than what it was before. So it has a sense of scale behind it. Yeah, so it's not just a ragtag team of like individuals coming together trying to save the world. It's actually a full organization that has an approach. They have a system behind this of how to do things. And we get that better with Lawrence Fishburne's character, who's the lead. I don't know if he's like the president of IMF, but he comes down on them. Basically saying like, you were not guaranteed to go in there. We did not approve of this. You have to go through all
You're
the
a
protocols.
rogue agent.
Yeah.
You're a rogue agent, Hawk.
But that's the thing. We now have
Mayor's going to have my ass on this one.
But it's not that. It's
I'm
not that
enacting
bad.
Ghost Protocol.
It's not that
Fallout
bad. But
from this will be impossible in a mission sense. All right, keep going.
But it's not that bad, right? Like, but it's still, he's still enforcing it, saying like, we do have rules, we have protocols that you must follow in order to do these missions and succeed at this, because we cannot have a risk such as yourself going into the field and potentially jeopardizing the whole mission, because it could cascade downwards and we could just be done for, because we're dealing with threats that are engaging the whole world. So there's a lot more, what's the word? Yeah, I would continue saying scale. There's a lot more scale behind IMF that we've never seen before. And there's a hierarchy to it.
Yeah, so anyway, Ethan Hawke infiltrates the Vatican and blows up a Lamborghini in front of it.
Oh, fucking gnarly.
Are we
Oh,
jumping?
the court recognized that sounds fucking gnarly.
We're jumping into the next scene then.
Why not? Sure.
We
Do you wanna
got
take the lead?
protocols, Hawk.
Go ahead.
All right, can you sign off on this Lamborghini I'm about to explode? Does it have to be a Lamborghini? Yes.
Can't you blow up
All
a
right.
Fiat? It's got to be a Lamborghini.
To justify that scene, though, they did go rogue, so it wasn't on the books. So they didn't know. They weren't paying for that at that point. But
Then where did they get the money to do that if they went rogue?
I like to
stole it.
think... Yeah, I like to think there's other third-party organizations that IMF is
I
associated
want
with.
facts. I don't want baseless speculation. I want something concrete coming out of your mouth in the next 5 seconds, or by God, I'm going to turn this car around.
He also thinks like he also thinks Ethan Hunt goes like beautiful mind when he's trying to jump like an 8-foot gap. He's like, yeah, I gotta triangulate the quarter of the air currents. Or no, he's just screaming his head off, running, shooting wildly, and just slamming his body into the other side of the building.
No, there's so much more of a system behind this. God damn it. Hold on.
Based
I
on
have to regroup myself.
what you think
Glasses-
he's thinking,
Glasses are off, Dylan. I'm getting into this one.
I'm gonna fucking fight you.
Hold on. Let's slow it down.
No.
No, as the
Let's
judge,
go.
I allow
Let's-
this. Keep it going.
Let's
Keep
go
it
to the
going.
Vatican scene. The Vatican scene.
Your Honor, me and the defense are gonna have a full-on fist fight right now.
In my court, that's encouraged. It's allowed.
Trial by combat.
So, okay. It seems that we need to move on to the next section. Tempers are hot. This movie is igniting our passions, clearly. Now, tell me about the Vatican. We'll start with Dave.
So angry about everything right now. So we learn more about IMF, and they kind of bridge off, and they're trying to find the person behind who captured Ethan Hawke's.
Ethan Hunt.
Ethan Hunt. It's not Tony Hawk. We're blurring characters again.
Don't drag the good name of Ethan Hawke into this.
Ethan Hunt there. Ethan Hunt's trainee. Yeah. He's trying to find out who was behind killing his student, basically, right? And so they had to kind of go off and infiltrate the Vatican because that's the only lead they had to find Seymour Hoffman. And this scene is great because they go from start to finish. This is the full spy getup, right? You got the infiltration, you got the face mask, you blend in, you're seeing through the Vatican, you're taking over the personality, you're stealing the other guy, and you're blowing up a Lamborghini. Like, what more can you ask for in a spy movie?
Prosecution, can you ask for anything more in a spy movie?
Yeah, we can.
What?
I can ask them to not senselessly destroy
You even get a skanky girl in it. What more do you want, Matt?
a skanky girl in the Vatican. That might be the most unbelievable part of this movie. She's infiltrating. For some reason they're doing this drop in the Vatican because I don't know, whatever. That's where weapons business deals get done, apparently. But so there's this smarmy like soiree thing, and his agent comes in there in the skankiest dress I've ever seen. And I'm a fan as much as the next guy of a beautiful lady in a lovely dress. Right, Dave? Dave knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Here.
The love doctor.
Yeah, what do you do? How do you dip them again?
I don't know what.
How do you dip them again?
Oh, it's the love doctor.
But this scene is perfect though for the spy aspect.
But there's no way that this woman is getting into the Vatican dressed like that. They don't. She's just kind of waltzing around in a dress that's barely on. And for some reason, I don't know why she's. I don't even know what she's doing there. She's just kind of like skanking around, and that's about it.
She's the exit plan.
Jesus.
For when
Okay. let's break this down.
Were you watching the same movie?
Yeah, guys. I don't think anybody was watching the same movie at this point, or our memory is so faulty. Okay.
So what she had given Ethan Hunt was that little tiny microscopic coded thing, basically, that contains data. And the data contained is what Philip Seymour Hoffman is trying to get his hands on. And because it's stupid J.J. Abrams, he never actually explains what the hell the MacGuffin is in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Does anyone remember what it's called, even?
The rabbit's foot.
Yeah, the rabbit's foot. So he knows about the rabbit's foot, and he knows he needs to get it, or maybe stop someone from getting it. But it's J.J. Abrams, so it's like, it's up to the viewer to decide what the rabbit means to him or her. Which is just, I mean, we all saw the ending of Lost, like, no forgiveness.
Don't even.
We'll never forget.
Definitively, it was purgatory, right?
No.
I believe I'm still waiting for my $5 out.
I gave you $5 on this. Okay.
Where is it now?
You probably spent it. Okay.
Highly unlikely.
I think framed it on his wall. Tom was right. Okay, I think
I was right.
We need more context behind this scene because we're doing a half-assed job of explaining it. We're just talking about skanks. We're getting distracted with this. So, first off, this is the heist.
Court would like to hear more about the skanks. How much skin did we see?
There's a lot. But
So this hot piece of A rips up in a Lambo, and Pope Francis is like, I'd like a piece of that, and he high fives the cardinal next to him. Anyway, Adam, continue.
Fucking gnarly.
yes, this is the heist scene of the movie where you get to see Tom Cruise and his team go rogue away from IMF because they're trying to capture Philip Seymour Hoffman because they realize that he is potentially one of the drug dealers, one of the leaders that may have been associated with Carrie Russell's death. So they go over to Italy and they have to infiltrate the Vatican. So in order to do this, they actually have multiple ways of getting in. So you have Luther going through the sewer system. You have the woman, Maggie Q's character. She's entering through the main door dressed up. So she's like an elitist going into this party. This party is the only time that Philip Seymour Hoffman is going to be available to the public. So this is their one shot of capturing him. You have the other, I can't remember his name, the driver. Basically, he's distracting, blocking off the road, so Tom Cruise can actually go over the wall, scale it down, and then enter as a priest, disguised as a priest. So we're seeing multiple steps of this heist play out, And they do it so smoothly because this is an experienced team. You have them going back and forth, having conversations about Tom Cruise and his fiance, the married life, etc., while they're doing this mission. Something that would be high stress, scary to most people if they're thinking about doing some type of scenario like this. But for them, it's just a breeze. They go in, they're able to infiltrate the Vatican. And then this is where I think Mission Impossible 3 does an excellent job, where they actually show you how things work. We never got this with the previous movies. So Matt just skipped over the masks, but this is important. We actually get to see how these masks are created. So you have Maggie Q's character walking around Philip Seymour Hoffman, taking photos, taking a full 3D capture of his head that's being sent over to a 3D printer, and then they start generating what this mask will look like. We also have a voice modulator, so they can pretend or impersonate Philip Seymour Hoffman. So he's reading off a cue card. Again, like, this attention to detail is what makes the movie. This adds to the layer, this adds to the action. And I think you have to pay respects to that because the previous movies, they just skipped over it. Everything was just magic. They're just like, oh, I just need a gun. I've got my gun. Or, you know, my watch could do this and allow me to jump 30 feet, whatever it may have been. But they're taking the time to explain it for the audience because you were curious before, but it was a question you never asked. And now you have an answer to it. And you're just like, actually, that's really interesting. So I don't think the director is calling the audience stupid. It's just giving them a lot more this time around. So I say you have to pay respects to that.
Okay, so how does the gum that you stick together and explode work then?
I thought we explained this. We had like a huge conversation about this one.
Did we explain this? I don't know.
It already touches. Both sides already touch.
I'm not getting into that. We're only focusing on Mission Impossible 3 right now.
All I could think about with this scene is like, how many, you think Ving Rhames just carries around a bag full of eyebrows everywhere he goes? Or any mask that he might need to make at any point?
Yeah, and this is where I think
just
like
a bunch of wigs and loose false teeth, and it's a weird, it's nasty.
But I think like they're so experienced, they've done the research, they know what they should be bringing, what's like the necessity or like what's required for this mission in order to move forward, and that's what they did. They just went for it. So they actually do capture Philip Seymour Hoffman in the bathroom. Tom Cruise gets him to read the captions, so they have the voice modulator working. There's a high tension scene where the bodyguard comes in, but it's not loading. Anywho, they escape with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and we get the scene of, I guess, like, how am I going to describe this? Them on the plane, like a high tension scene where Tom Cruise basically wants answers, and Philip Seymour Hoffman is not giving it to him. So we have a villain, unlike any other villain in the Mission Impossible movies. Mission Impossible 2, that really wasn't a villain. That was a very copycat, Tom Cruise-esque kind of approach. But here we have Philip Seymour Hoffman stand on his own, where this man really can't be bargained. He has so much power, so much influence already that Tom Cruise can't get under his skin. And even when they're flying away and Tom Cruise opens up the base of the plane and has Philip Seymour Hoffman hanging over, he doesn't budge. So this is actually terrifying in the sense because you have this villain that's not compromising. He's not willing to give up. And he has his focus strictly on Ethan Hunt. And this is a threat. Tensions raised again. So I think they did an amazing job with the heist and they set up this villain brilliantly.
And then in the next scene, they lose him. They go through all of this and he escapes.
It just shows you life, Matt. That just shows you life.
It's all
anything can happen. You do all that hard work and it just shits all over you, Matt. It's life.
I love how you do these full explanations, trying to draw it out, trying to get people involved, and then you flip it with one sentence.
That's the magic of Mission Impossible 3. Like, they do all this stuff only to completely fuck it up with one dumbass scene, like, seconds later.
Yeah, but this is a good point because they didn't understand the threat that they were dealing with. They thought they succeeded, and once they get back into the US, they're instantly bombarded with agents. We don't know who these soldiers are, and they're here to capture or recapture or take away Philip Seymour Hoffman. And again, Tom Cruise, Luther. Yeah, thank you. Rescue him. Tom Cruise and Luther.
Take him away. Take him away. Yeah.
They're unprepared. They were not prepared for this context because they didn't know the threat that they were dealing with. And the whole bridge scene with the drones flying over, the soldiers coming in, the high intensity, because you know that IMF agents are there. They don't want any casualties. They don't want civilians to be involved with this. And that's the target of this scenario in order to rescue Philip Seymour Hoffman. So they're doing their job trying to protect them while also trying to capture or recapture Philip Seymour Hoffman. You got an amazing scene with Tom Cruise using a really big gun. I don't know what the gun's called. Judge, I'm sure you know the model off by heart.
Yeah, I do.
Oh.
I know exactly what it is.
Oh, okay, cool.
But
yeah, that's cool. Anyway, so he's trying to shoot down this helicopter that's fleeing away.
if you don't remember what the name of this gun is called, I am turning this car around.
I don't.
Was it a bazooka?
It's a real big rifle. It shoots real big bullets, I guess.
No, it's a G36C, you fucking... All right, please continue.
Thanks, Judge, for not being so biased. But the realization, even though Philip Seymour Hoffman escapes and gets away, he's already threatened that he's going to go after Ethan Hunt's family. He's going to go after anyone that he's loved, and he delivers with that promise immediately. So he goes right after Ethan Hunt's wife, and that's where Tom Cruise has to flee the scene, flee the bridge explosion to try and get back to his wife to save her. This is where the flip happens. The agency understands that Tom Cruise is not unhinged, but he's playing by his own rules, so they have to capture
Don't use
him.
that word.
That's
Hold
a
on.
different movie. You can't you can't just
Are you
say
thinking
that
of Russell
word.
Crowe?
It can happen to anyone.
It could happen to anyone.
So anyway, Ethan Hunt tries to hide in this attic, but his stupid mom like totally gives away his hiding space, and then Philip Seymour Hoffman comes in, drags Tom Cruise out, and then his wife gets kidnapped or something.
Yeah.
If only he played more Fortnite,
I think
none of this would happen.
So
let's sum up.
Yeah.
They went to the Vatican, they accomplished their objective, they went to a bridge, some things blew up, they lost the guy.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That took 5 minutes of film, or was that 7 hours?
that's a solid like 45 minutes or so.
Okay. That's a strike against the movie.
We gotta
want you to know
respond
that.
to some of this because it's at this point as with all of these dumbass spy movies that all credulity of any of this ever happening in the real world is gone for me, which is why I hate watching spy movies, because it's like there is some pseudo government organization. We're not really clear on how IMF is connected to the government. They're loosely connected, but they're definitely not a government organization.
What?
Just
Yeah, they are.
murdering American citizens. Just
Lawrence even
firing
makes that comment
rockets.
earlier, Dylan. Hold on. I have to go talk to the president directly. He talks about that. He's directly underneath the president.
what?
Yeah, but the My Pillow guy can talk to the president, so that might not mean anything.
It clearly establishes that they're directly underneath the government, underneath the president. So they are a direct
Who is?
IMF.
IMF. They make that establishment.
Okay, fine.
So what?
Fine. They're a government agency. They're still mowing down American citizens on this bridge.
No, that's not IMF. No, that's a different agency. That's a shadow. That's a shadow group that's involved with Philip Seymour Hoffman. That could be.
I'd also
Black-
like to.
Terrorists, Dylan. Those are terrorists.
But what's the difference between that and what IMF is doing? I would also, at this point, like to, as a sidebar, remind everyone that IMF stands for Impossible Mission Force.
Yes, that is
which is
correct.
That's the name of your government organization.
Yeah.
They might have regretted that one.
I agree. Their name is pretty stupid, but they are still a government organization.
Yeah, and I just explained that
yeah, so I
IMF
don't-
agents, they try to make sure that they don't have any casualties. So even when they're in the Vatican, how many casualties died there in order for them to get Philip Seymour Hoffman? None. They did their job successfully. The soldiers that are coming in that are recapturing or capturing Philip Seymour Hoffman away from IMF, those are terrorists. Those are a different group. That's not IMF agents.
Yeah.
They don't care about anyone as long as they get their mission done.
Well, maybe you should have made that clearer in the notes.
The only IMF
We
agent
can't know that they're nihilists.
that is connected, the only IMF agent that's connected to the terrorist is what's his name?
Billy C.
Billy
Billy.
Crudup
Billy. Goddamn Billy. He's the only IMF agent that's bad.
in this movie.
in this movie.
That's the only movie we're talking about, Matt. Only movie we're talking
Okay,
about.
okay. So then,
Okay, but at this point, Ethan Hunt is also wanted by the IMF as a rogue agent, right?
yeah, because they had no idea about this Vatican mission of theirs, where they were blowing up, bits of thousands and thousands of year old architecture, priceless. That will never be replaced. That's just gone forever.
Sewer grate?
The sewer grate, the walls in the Vatican, they're like in this thing with all these statues. They blew up the cobblestones with the Ferrari.
Better than
Just
people.
with no
Better than
regard
people
for
exploding.
any- yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. But yes. So Tom Cruise, technically a rogue agent at this point. IMF takes him in. Billy C helps him escape and says that like your wife, like you have to go to China, Shanghai, in order to get to this lab to grab the rabbit's foot. That's what Philip Seymour Hoffman is after, and that's how you can negotiate to get your wife back. So that can lead us into scene 3. And I know Walker's got some
Oh boy, I got some.
half-ass physics for us to explain the Shanghai swing.
I'm going full ass on this one. So
But before we jump into the Shanghai swing there, let's just do a
No, I want
quick
Matt
temperature check
to
here.
clarify what full ass is.
it's more than half-assed.
Yeah, that
It's
works.
double-assed.
50% more.
Double half-assed.
50%
Yeah.
more.
It is 2 ass.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Yes. Okay, Judge, and I think
I was gonna yell at Adam for a bit, but I think I've made my point. Tell me about this swing.
okay, we've got plenty of time to yell at Adam for the rest of this episode. So the setup here is that they go to China and he has to catch the MacGuffin. He has to get the rabbit's foot. And of course it's in some skyscraper in a lab that's really heavily guarded or tough to get into. So they're sitting like across the street or across the river from this building or whatever. And Tom Cruise goes all beautiful mind on us and he draws out a diagram of the buildings that he has to get into on the window of the place that they're in, and then he starts drawing like free body diagrams and doing mechanics equations about like, oh yeah, if I put the fulcrum here and I can swing, and it's the most ridiculous, absurd scene that defies physics. Every scene in this movie defies physics, and I know that because I calculated it right here. The movie tells you how tall all of the explicitly, like it's like they're asking me to do this. They drew out, they say how tall all of the buildings are, how far away they are. Let's forget for a second that Tom Cruise is ignoring parallax here, that his perspective has nothing to do with the dimension that he's seeing the buildings in. So they could be
And I want to say they didn't even mention the Snorlax either.
It's ridiculous. He's just talking about Lord Xenu all the time, and he doesn't mention anything else of importance.
Anyway, parallax. Go on.
So the premise of this thing is that he's going to start from a building that's next to the building he's trying to get into, and he's going to essentially swing like a pendulum from one building to the next. He's going to jump off one and swing and land on the roof of the next building. And they give you all these details, and I plotted it out. This is just conservation of energy, my guys. And essentially in order for this to work, Tom Cruise has to be able to run 60 kilometers an hour in order to get enough momentum to essentially latch onto the trajectory of the fulcrum at a high enough point and have enough energy to get across the thing. But of course it works because it's a movie, and like this is ignoring the fact that if he jumps off the building and he's attached with a wire to the building, he's just going to swing right into the building he just jumped right off of anyway. So this thing is just nonsense, garbage. This is another example of this movie thinks so little of its audience that it's just going to go, oh yeah, sure, great, that's cool. Swings into the building. It's just like a fulcrum. Yep.
And that, kids, is what you can do with math after high school.
I found a website that he did all the calculations and he says is possible.
Dave, I saw that. I saw that website and he did his calculations wrong.
How?
He does.
Okay, so let's not get into the how. I'm going to trust that the prosecution has done the math correct. Perhaps you might even say doing it well. Now, defense, do you have anything to say about the fulcrum?
I think it's fine.
So
the wind was behind his back and it pushed him over. The wind.
I have to.
I'm seeing a lot of stuff coming out of the defense being like, the wind did it, or he did the calculations in his head. But there doesn't seem to be any evidence for this.
Your Honor.
I gotta hand it to the prosecution. They brought their A game. They actually have evidence. He held up a piece of paper. What do you guys have?
If this were Judge Judy, this case would be closed at that point. Paper? You kidding me, man?
Yeah.
Math? Holy.
Look at these free
I think
body
his calculations
diagrams.
are wrong.
Look at this penmanship.
We are on a podcast, Matt. I cannot see your calculations. But they are there.
Let the record show they are nice calculations.
Is it really hard to imagine someone on a building that's 100 meters taller can make a fulcrum jump to that building?
64, Dave.
What? The one building is 226 meters. The other target building is 162 meters.
No one wants.
That's 100 meters more.
No one wants.
No, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Don't you interrupt him, Adam.
But still, either way, it's still a plausible thing.
Okay.
Matt is telling you that it's not.
It's not. It's nonsense. He would have just swung right into the building that he jumped off of.
He has no proof.
This is now the crux of the argument. Adam Dillon, take a step back. We've got to let these two titans battle it out.
This is his Mission Impossible 3 a good movie or not? Is coming down to this mathematical equation.
Turns out that mission was impossible.
Okay, so that's only one very small part
That's
of
just-
the scene. Because this scene is
Like
ridiculously
we
long.
haven't discussed any of the other completely incredulous dumb spy tech bullshit that happened to this other movie. There's vascular IDs. There's
Yeah, okay.
like this ultrasound spectrometer thing where he sees the little bomb in Carrie Russell's head before her brain blows up. Anyway, it's no end to this. This movie
The voice modulator where they have him record literally like 3 sentences and then they produce how he would pronounce every other word in the English language.
I'm fine with that one,
Exactly.
I think I'm fine with that one. The vascular ID, not so much. But so what I have to say is at least they're trying to do, like, they have some form of due diligence where they're saying, yes, this is a new form of Ethan Hunt. Am I too Ethan Hunt? He would have just winged it. He would have probably jumped from the one building without the fulcrum and just to see if he could leap the distance between 2 buildings. This time we have a lot more suave, calculated.
I think that happened in Mission Impossible 7.
He probably did. He did like a front flip into it. But now we have a calculated Ethan Hunt, right? Like I honestly think that the MIF agents might have to be like at a genius level in order to operate, where they have to take in so much information in order to do this job and to adapt to it. And that's what we're seeing right here. He's been put in a new scenario that he has to figure out within 30 minutes or something. There is a countdown at this point of him having to call Philip Seymour Hoffman. So they're scrambling to put this together. So yes, the math might be wrong, but the state that Ethan Hunt's character is at this point, I think that's a fair representation. He's not thinking clearly about this. He's not caring if it's a life or death scenario. He just needs to do this in order to get the rabbit's foot, in order to save his wife. He's willing to do whatever it takes. Besides the swing, though, once he actually does get out, he parachutes down to the street level where he gets caught up and there's a huge kerfuffle with all the cars. There's a stunt that I think we missed over when we first originally watched this. And after second viewing, I think it's actually pretty amazing that they did this. Once Tom Cruise's character grabs the rabbit's foot on the road, he's almost hit by a car, and you can see his hand, he puts up his hand and the car just comes right at him. It stops maybe within 5 inches of him. So it's a pretty impressive stunt. So what I would like to say is Mission Impossible 3, it's not relying on one big stunt this time around, which you're going to see in the future movies. This time they're actually putting smaller stunts together and they're having a higher impact with it because they're putting more weight of the scenario where he has to do this in order to get his wife back. There's a lot more tension.
Objection, Your Honor.
With it.
Objection. Adam mentioned future movies to prove a point.
First time.
Violating his own rules.
First time. We're an hour into this
Overruled.
podcast. I'm doing good.
Is waterboarding totally off the table, or what's the deal with waterboarding?
Waterboarding is on the table if this kind of shenanigans continue. The court would also like to ask Adam, how does any of the words you just said impact the math? I thought you said that this was a realistic movie.
I said it's grounded, and I put realistic in quotations. You can check. You can go back and listen to the recording.
Did you say quote?
I
This is a
covered.
podcast,
I
Adam.
did.
We
I
can't
did. I covered myself in this one because I knew you guys are going to come back at this.
Your Honor, I would like to highlight
The court will show that Adam has covered himself.
I would like to highlight the lack of paper that Adam has brought to this trial, making his arguments much weaker.
Yeah, I got.
Don't try and scramble.
Incredibly weak in comparison. At no point did he even attempt to just hold a piece of paper saying Mission Impossible 3 is good. That would have worked for me.
That's the bar.
Now look, none of that is important. What is important is that after they do the swing and they get the rabbit's foot, then what happens?
We are basically caught up.
No, not you! Someone else!
Okay.
What was the question? I wasn't listening.
This is
after
the
the
team
swing-
that's going to win.
After the swing and after the rabbit's foot, then what happens?
So he catches the rabbit's
Oh, I
foot,
forget.
and then their move is that they're going to put a tracker on the rabbit's foot and then meet up with Philip Seymour Hoffman and give it to him, and that way they'll be able to track him in his organization and then catch him again later. So the idea,
And we should clarify the rabbit's foot is it's a briefcase
It's a chemical weapon.
it's
in a briefcase.
The tube.
it's some MacGuffin thing that they were too
It-
lazy to even bother making up At least in the second
Hey,
one.
Adam,
they told us
when do you figure out it's a chemical weapon?
During the Shanghai swing, they actually have blueprints of what the rabbit's foot is, like the canister that they have to retrieve. So they do say it's a chemical
see.
weapon.
Hey, Adam, what is red matter and how does it cause singularities of black
Not talking
holes
about that
and
movie.
stuff? Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, this will be a little more close to home. What was the smoke monster in Lost? Do you remember?
We're not talking about Lost.
I know, but anyway,
okay.
Your Honor, they never explained Walt's powers, so this movie is bad.
Oh yeah, right.
So at this point,
Why did that bird start screaming Hurley? Did we ever cover that one?
I don't think so, actually. I don't think we understood the Hurley bird.
So the rabbit's foot is nothing.
The rabbit.
We could safely
The
say
rabbit's foot is basically a MacGuffin. They do acknowledge it, saying that it's a chemical weapon at one point, but that's glossed over. Just treat it as a MacGuffin, something the bad guy wants at this point. Fine with that. A lot of movies do that. Carry on that.
Okay. So yeah, thank you. So then now we get to the point. So he basically turns himself in, like kind of like a ruse for Philip Seymour Hoffman's character. So now we finally catch up with the first quasi scene that we see in the movie where Tom Cruise and his wife, fiance, I don't know, doesn't matter. She's there captured, and Philip Seymour Hoffman wants to know where the rabbit's foot is. And now that I'm saying this out loud, I actually don't remember how they got to this. Like, didn't you give it to him?
No.
He said he gave it.
Billy stole it.
Okay, whatever. So we finally caught up with the very start of the movie. This is like an hour and a half later. And the rest of the movie kind of is pretty boring, to be honest. I don't actually remember. He gets in a fist fight with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and then there's the rabbit's foot's like rolling around the street, and then
What are you talking about? It doesn't fizzle out. You get Billy C revealing that, yes, he is a double agent. Shocker. Spoilers. Everyone saw this coming. But we then get Ethan Hunt basically running through China trying to find his wife. He's calling IMF. He gets Simon Pegg on the phone. This is the first movie that Simon Pegg is actually in for Mission Impossible, and then
all of China. He runs through all of China.
He's running around China.
Even Wuhan?
If you're gonna start talking about how this movie is grounded and realistic, then I want to hear grounded and realistic terms.
We'll narrow it down to streets of Shanghai.
Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
So this is where, like Matt was saying, they do have the tracker on the rabbit's foot. So Benji, Simon Pegg, is tracking that. He's relaying the information to Tom Cruise, so he knows exactly where he's going in China. I don't know the street. I don't know the location. But Tom Cruise is now full sprint. They do a beautiful scene where they had like a crane operate.
Didn't you tell me it was Shanghai already? Don't you know this?
I'm getting caught up. I'm losing some details. It's been months since we've watched this. I'm doing a pretty good job in comparison to everybody else right now, okay?
whoa.
The court will acknowledge that Adam thinks so little of his fellow defensemen and prosecutors.
That's the point. We're arguing. I'm trying to make sure we win this case. I gotta put him down.
You're doing a great job. Don't let him bully
Thanks,
you, Adam.
teammate. So we have Tom Cruise running through the streets. They do a really impressive shot where they do have one of the cameras on a crane that's following him, and he's doing like a 100-meter sprint. I think this is the first movie that acknowledges Tom Cruise running at like that speed, and they carry it over.
I just want to add that Tom Cruise runs like a boss. Like, he runs like a boss.
Would you say that he runs at 60 kilometers per hour like a boss?
Okay, from Steven Seagal to Usain Bolt.
It's closer.
Close to the same point.
But like, okay, so taking it out of the movie, Tom Cruise was 44 when Mission Impossible 3 came out.
Yeah, in human years.
Yeah, I've never seen like a 44-year-old run that quickly or is in that shape. So Tom Cruise.
Have you ever seen a 44-year-old with braces either?
Maybe, I don't know. Actually, yes, I have.
Is that against the movie?
No, so okay.
And Fargo doesn't count.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is Tom Cruise went all out for this. They treated this as the last movie that they were going to do because typically movies during that era just did a trilogy. We didn't see them extending beyond that. So this was their final go, and everyone
Give examples, or that's not a true statement.
Didn't we have The Matrix? We had Lord of the Rings at the same time too, right? So
Lord of the Rings was a trilogy in the 1970s.
The Fast and Furious series was at 3 at this point. They didn't know they were going to extend it out. But anyway, so this is what I'm saying. Everyone went all out with this. You see, no one is half-assing it. They went all in.
They're whole-assing it.
They're whole-assing it and full-assing it. And Tom Cruise is really delivering with this. He has a lot of intensity of trying to get to his wife. And then we find out that he was injected with the same brain bomb that's been detonated once he does find where his wife is.
Get out the brain bomb.
Forgot about it. And he has to defeat Philip Seymour Hoffman while this bomb is about to go off. He does so. The fight is actually pretty good just because you have Tom Cruise not at 100%. He is at a handicap at this point because raging headache, bomb's about to blow off, but he's still driven to get to his wife. So the battle goes, it flips on his favor, and it doesn't end there. Typically, a movie would have just stopped it right there. Bad guys defeated. No, we're still in a high stakes scenario where he has to get this bomb out of his head. And the best way that he can do this is basically electrocuting himself. His wife is a nurse, so he's hoping that she can bring him back.
Does he use some of this really great calculations you've been describing to figure out that would work?
He does.
Maybe.
How does he determine the correct voltage?
Yeah.
He tastes the current.
Yeah, this is.
Or does he bite down on a toaster cables and tell his wife to turn the power on?
This is MI2 Ethan Hunt coming to play, where he's just gonna wing it at this point. So,
well, it's either he tries this or he dies.
Ethan, I really don't want to do this. It's his wife. Ethan,
he's kind of left with no option.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Honey, I've calculated it out to the exact joule. It will be fine.
I swear
I will switch.
It's come
I
down
swear
to
I
life or
won't
death, though.
fry my frontal lobe when I do this. I'll be totally fine. My executive decision making will be totally intact.
Totally cool. No damage whatsoever. Anyway, treat it as you want. The scene's still great.
It's whatever.
I recognize it, right? And again, that's why I said realistic in quotations. But again, they tried. They tried something new. And I think that scene of handing it over to his wife, Michelle Monaghan, in this, she did a great job. Where she actually has to take down a couple agents because they're coming at her. Well, Ethan Hunt is passed out on the floor before she can revive him. So again, they're almost flipping it. Rather than like a counting clock, you have to like bring back your dead husband. So now the focus is on her. The stakes are still really high, and the stakes continue for that scene for like 20 minutes. So I think they concluded the action for Mission Impossible 3 in a very great way. I don't feel like I was cheated in any sense of, oh, they just blew up the bad guy, or a blue beam shot up in the sky and they have to end that and then they can go home. No, there's consequences with this. There's extra steps that they still have to follow.
You don't think they...
So what was the consequence of the complete lack of blood flow to his brain for like 5 minutes when he was lying on the ground unconscious?
I don't think it was 5
he
minutes.
severely mentally handicapped after? Or
I think it was
did they just give him some
seconds.
adrenaline? He's like, I'm fucking good to go?
But even so, like, just ignoring how long he was passed out for, once he does come to, you see...
You just ignore it. We're pointing it out.
I'm gonna ignore it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna choose to ignore this one.
Whoa, no, look at that. How long was he actually out for? Give me an exact time there, please.
At least enough
3
time for
minutes
her to
and
kill
40 seconds.
two agents, yeah.
How fast can he kill 2 agents? Click, click. About 10 seconds. I think he was out for about 30 seconds, if that.
But she was crawling around and hiding and stuff. It wasn't just click, click. It was, she shot one and
It
then
was
she crawled
basically
around.
click, click.
Look, not all of us are able to just take lives
Yeah.
as easily as you. Click, click. It's not like that.
He zapped himself. She fell against the post, grabbed the pistol, went around the side, shot both of them, and then went right back.
Okay, well then,
It was
he also
less-
just exploded a little electronic bomb in his brain by biting down on electrical cords. So that already sets up his brain for some...
didn't explode it. Just took out the electrical. Just fizzled out the circuit board. No
Yeah,
damage to the
also,
brain.
he did it with his hands. Like, he was
Not like
grabbing
the brain
cake.
uses electricity. Yeah.
He did it with his hands. He put the
Is it
popsicle
safe
stick.
to be unconscious? I don't think it is. I don't think you're supposed to be unconscious by like receiving massive jolts of electricity into your brain. I don't think that's healthy.
Probably not.
We can't move on until you acknowledge how unhealthy that is.
You heard it here, folks.
I did. I said, yes, this is A bit.
Not you, Dave.
Well, I think we're learning a lot about Dave during this conversation with the click click. He's quick to murder, and it's so easy for him.
He's quick to murder. He's just all about love.
I've been playing too much Hitman 3 right now, so
I expect nothing less from the inventor of tolerant revenge.
Yeah.
It's so easy. You just run in there and click. You solved all your problems.
that's the only downfall to this movie. There's no tolerant revenge. There's only basic revenge.
Isn't Philip Seymour Hoffman exacting tolerant revenge? Because he's like, oh, you fucked up my dinner at the Vatican. I'm going to ruin your whole life. That's pretty tolerant, I think.
Yep.
Anyway, I
No.
want to end this scene with just acknowledging. So once Tom Cruise does come back, once he's revived, how quickly he goes into almost like defense mode. So you can see how ingrained his training is in him, rather than being shocked or just like, what the hell's going on? He already has like the gun up ready to protect his wife. So I thought that was very interesting. I thought that was a different approach. We then
Different to what?
we then conclude the movie.
Being shocked awake.
Different to what?
I've got nothing right now.
All I'm saying is this entire time we've been defending the shit out of this movie, Matt and Dylan has come back with like one or two blips. Or maybe a fulcrum didn't work. Oh no. Or maybe he was passed out for more than 30 seconds. They don't know.
What do you
They
mean?
have
I
nothing
watched the
bad to say
movie. It was
about
more than 30
about
seconds.
About the skank.
The entire thing is just
They have no answer for it. They're just guessing at this point.
All right. So the movie ends. The credits roll. Before I deliver my final verdict, we will now hear closing statements from the defense and prosecution. Defense, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll go ahead. And with
good.
my
Excellent.
first
Thank you.
move, I'm to allow the defense to give their closing statements.
Very
I'm
noble.
actually going to take this
Very
upon
noble.
myself and let Dylan and Matt go first.
Oh, counter noble. Interesting.
Yes, but that was always part of my plan because I knew he would be forced by the law of guest rights to give the closing statement back to me, which makes me the one in the power position.
Are you the writer of every Mission Impossible movie ever?
Yes, I am. And on the next Mission Impossible, two Mission Impossible Force agents backstab each other, but they realize they're actually backstabbing a third MIF agent. Anyway, closing statements. Brain bombs, skanks in the Vatican, blowing up Lamborghinis, having your wife electrocute you to death, Mission Impossible. There was only one way this trilogy could come to an end, and that was probably something like this. So we got what we deserved, which was just a steady decline of cinema, kind of a microcosm for the whole industry, from what was originally an okay idea for some to just utter garbage. To think that this is like a step up from 2 is not saying much, because 2 is just the absolute bottom of the barrel, but it is a step up, but a step up from the pits of hell is still at best purgatory, which is definitely where the island was located. So if you're not totally clear on the reality, it's the smoke monster is the devil. Anyway, I rest my case.
Oh, okay. Excellently argued. Defense. Take it away.
We will talk about Lost after this. This is. But
Can I just
okay.
have the court note that, like, the defense, Dave just has his head in his hands right now. He's just despondent.
You know why?
Why?
Because your arguments were nowhere to be found in this episode. This movie was so well defended by me and Adam, most by Adam. But like, this movie gave you everything. You get more rounded Ethan Hunt. You get the action scenes. You get the spy scenes. You're on the edge of your seat for most of the movie, and then you get the beautiful ending and the where Ethan and his wife are reunited and love is blossom. It's beautiful. Beautiful movie.
Yeah, okay, Love Doctor. Yeah, okay. We know how you feel about love and relationships.
Yeah, when does he
and
flip
stuff.
her over and turn her upside down and stuff?
That's after credit scenes. You missed it.
I think you called it doing the fun dip or something. You called it.
That's another
To add
move.
to Dave's closing statement.
I'll teach you that one later.
To add to Dave's closing statement, I think if the Mission Impossible series was to end at this point, they're ending on a high note. If this was to be a trilogy that was concluded, I think they did an amazing job with ending it here. We did have character growth for Ethan Hunt. We saw him evolve over the time. We saw his character change and grow and develop. We see a happy ending for this character. Typically, you would not see this for someone that's involved with such a dangerous profession. We see the threats expand and continue to grow in this world for Mission Impossible. I think handing it over to J.J. Abrams with his unique style, his pacing, allowing for the action to just continue to keep the viewer involved and continue to ask questions all the way throughout the movie was a good play. And yeah, I think Mission Impossible 3 ended the series on a high note. Thank you.
You're welcome. So
Now, can we have an unbiased decision?
I have been nothing but unbiased this entire time. Now, we've seen a lot of Mission Impossible. We've seen the gum. We've seen the motorbikes. We've seen the house parties. We've all seen that. We know about these things. And really, the question is here, is Mission Impossible 3 a good movie? And I think that the arguments presented by the defense clearly show that no, it is not a good movie. And I think that the prosecution did bring in some actual physical evidence, some hard numbers, if you will.
Paper.
You can't even read his writing. It's so chicken scratch.
Perhaps even they did the math. And in doing the math, they have convinced me that this is not a good movie. All signs point to this being a film that is not worth your time, just like the last two Mission Impossibles. And yet, we have seen every single one of them. So, I would like to talk about the two gnarliest deaths in the entire Mission Impossible franchise to date. Number one, right out of the gate, when what's-his-face, Emilio, gets elevated right into the top, fucking gnarly.
It was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That actually gave me like nightmares as a kid.
It's fucking gnarly. And number two, brain bombs.
Yeah.
It's fucking gnarly.
Hey, let's not forget John Voight getting folded in half.
Yeah.
That's true. We shouldn't forget that. There are 3 fucking gnarly deaths in this franchise. And, you know, that's not enough. Anyways, thanks everybody. I really appreciate you coming out here today to listen to us talk about Mission Impossible. I think we've definitively made all our points, and we can, you know, safely rule it as a bad film, not worth your time. Adam's nodding up and down like he agrees. He knows that it's a bad movie. He knows that he lost. He's up and down. Yeah, he's saying, yes, this is good. This is what I like.
I was going to congratulate you with actually closing the episode. We finally did it. It's taken us like 20 episodes to get this down.
But yeah, that's our episode. Thanks, everybody.
That is bullshit.
And with that, the court is adjourned. Come back next time for a new trial with new litigants in the never-ending parade of schlock that is Grindhouse Courthouse. Motherfuckers.